The Big Issue, breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. It's another edition of The Big Issue. And of course, it has been a very, very busy moment. And of course, even we here in the studio have not actually had it so easy because we were almost consumed by the stress of covering the elections. Of course, we are back. The presidential and National Assembly elections were held last Saturday. And the winner of the presidential election, Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the All Progressive Congress, was declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission in the early hours of Wednesday. And since the winner was declared, it had been one form of controversy to the other, with some Nigerians, including the opposition parties, the major one, as the People's Democratic Party, the Labour Party, and the New Nigerian People Party, calling for the cancellation of the polls. And of course, there were other individuals like former President Olusegun Obasanjo that was even calling for the cancellation of the poll even before the National Coalition Center could finally come up with the result. Now, the question on the lips of most Nigerians is that, was the 2023 presidential election actually rigged? The opposition party said they will seek redress in court. And of course, that would have been the best way to go, according to some Nigerians, as against the call for its outright cancellation. And that would have been possible only in a military junta, just like the June 12 presidential election was annulled, even without the pronouncement of a court of law. Well, Silas, the issues are already out there. Most Nigerians believe that this election, the presidential election especially, was rigged. And there had been hues and cries from certain quarters, while there are some Nigerians who are arguing that the election was one of the free and fairest compared to past presidential elections, the elections of 2003, 2007, 2011, 2015, and 2019. What is your general overview about this election, the presidential election?
No, thank you for that question. We just need to move around the streets in Nigeria, and then you get a feel of the kind of angst, suppressed anger that is, and feeling of disappointment of course, a few people, very pockets of people are happy, that they favor their candidate. Most of the people who went out to vote feel that somehow the process has not been free and fair, and that there are many sides not free and fair. One, INEC was demonstrated a very serious level of incapacity, unpreparedness, or collusion, in a job at stake. I think that by some account, about 60% of the deployment didn't get to start the election at the date. That figure goes down to 10% in the southeast, maybe south side too. So as if there was possibly they were afraid of the violence in the southeast or whatever, or whether to deliberate to suppress the votes of one of the candidates. I don't know that, but it doesn't speak well that the election. That's something that people from the southeast say in their language. Igbo language said, "A war foretold does not consume cripples." You know the meaning? A war foretold does not consume cripples. uh, before the war, they would have taken away the cripples far away so that they'll be out of the line of fire. So these people knew for 4 years they were preparing for this day, and on the day of election, some INEC officials were coming, so coming by 7:30, or it was supposed to come by 11. That is almost 4 hours, 5 hours. So 12 from 1 before they arrived at the place. What about the logistics? We have worked out for that day, because that day was like a wedding day. You know, on that day you're not supposed to go to church late. So that on that part. Then two, it appears that security agencies did not cover themselves in glory in some parts of the country. Also, apart from a few videos of security agencies joining in trying to stabilize the system by joining and carrying bad boss, and there are also many of them who stood idly by while troublemakers disrupted the system. They didn't do anything. With all the promise they have deployed, they have found out, they are ready for the bad guys. They stood idly and did practically nothing. Why voters were being harassed, intimidated, wounded, injured, denied to vote publicly, and they were there. So that's a part. The other part is in INEC, and see, INEC is like a referee. It's a referee here. If you go into a football match, and the referee begins to officiate in a way that it does not give confidence, it raises angst in the team that's face is being against. So INEC's activities, the breakdown of their portal, without communication, if you have a problem with their channels, you should be able to tell those who are working with you, having this problem, or try to try it. This is what you do. This is a plan A. This is a plan B. But for 24 hours, INEC, they don't tell anybody to having trouble with, with their portal. Who have just left their devices. So that also, and being that electronic transmission was fought for gamely by Nigerian media, by Nigerian civil society, by other people, by lawmakers who wanted a clear election. That same element of the process that they fought over so much, that was opposed by the ruling party and other old guard politicians, that same system could not hold on election day after all the fight. That was also on one part. There are many parts of it that so that's why if you look at the television, look at the streets, look at all the commentaries, INEC should be given a red card. But it's sad because having their winnings they created, encouraging Nigerians to go out and get their PVs and vote, they were very, very galvanizing people. And you also find that without galvanization, more people turned out to vote. Even those who are not voting for the first time, they still vote in this election. Yet, the figures you are getting shows that the fewer Nigerians voted now than before. It's talking about 25% to 24%. Okay, less than 30%. In the previous time, we have 50, 40, 70%, and we're complaining about voter apathy. This is why with all the enthusiasm to vote, we're recording the least Nigeria has ever recorded in the presidential election. There's something wrong. It's either INEC processes to encourage people, or the votes that are coming out are not what people voted. Because people voted the next day. Some were voting by 3 a.m. So they vote. So if all those who stayed on the line and voted to that time, how come the figures of voting are less than previous time? So this is my view. I think there need to be a proper audit of what happened, from the election, even before to afterwards, to understand it, so that we do not go through this pen. Because this pen again. Because the problem is, this turning again, when that if the system does not convoke confidence in people, tomorrow when they go for election, but people will ignore you.
Well, Silas, thank you. Chibuzo, you've heard Silas. I think what Silas is saying mostly borders on disenfranchisement. The people were either discouraged or not allowed to vote. But,
And the next system not working.
And the next system not working. Well, the beavers. the Electoral Act provides for either the use of beavers, and where it is not functioning, the electoral umpire can actually go manual, ignore the beavers. And I think what happened in this case was just the case that yes, and I think the provisions of that electoral act was actually done knowing very well that we are in a country where when it comes to technology, we are still backward and network. And then another thing again you should look at Chibuzori, in the idea of saying people were not allowed to vote. I think what played out according to certain observers and analysts was that in the strongholds of most of these major political parties, it was exactly what happened. Where the APC has a strong, such played out. Where the Labour Party had a stronghold, like in the southeast, we even recorded a situation where there were young, fierce-looking men at the polling booth asking the voters, "Come, are you actually coming to vote for B or to vote for?" I think this is something that I would have said if you want to even look for a single out a particular party and accuse. I think most of the major parties were guilty of all this in their domain. What is your own opinion, Chibozo, about the situation?
Thank you very much. There's been so much that has been said about, what has played out. And I think there's a consistency in a good number of thoughts and a good number of reports that have come out, which is that this election fell very way short of expectation. Way short of expectation. Most of the promises, the many promises, or the critical promises that INEC gave, which has to do with the use of technology to ensure that you have close to a perfect arrangement, was not deployed as promised. And it becomes even more worrisome that they consistently said that was going to be status quo, that they were going to use that device. And like Mr. Silas said, he gave a lot of assurance to Nigerians, mainly the young ones, to come out and engage the process. And we saw a lot of them come out to do so. However, it goes now, the situation has come to the legal process, because I think that is where the focus is going to be on now. There's been so much. We can go on here for days rehashing all of the things that have been said that went wrong with the collation process, because that is where the whole crisis started from. The collation process and how they were allegedly manipulated and everything. If I'm using the words of the Labour Party national chairman, he said it was irretrievably compromised. As such, there is no need to do any further collating, but to conduct a fresh polls. But now the focus will be on the judiciary. We would expect that all of the parties present real evidence, because that is where the situation is going to be. And I can also, to a large extent, empathize with the opposition parties who have expressed, who were not too keen on, allowing the process go ahead and wait at the courts, because there's a fear, for instance, that they might not get justice there. And if you look at it, you might not necessarily, at the risk of denigrating our judiciary system, you might not necessarily, because we've seen a couple of judgments in the past that does not cause for excitement. The emo issue is one in that comes to mind quickly. The governorship thing that comes, and so you can understand why they feel that way. Most especially when they felt the commission had the capacity to review in the course of the process. So it was a discretionary thing for the INEC chairman, but he chose to go ahead with it and say, okay, this is what I have before me. I'm going to do what I have. Then if you have any complaints, go to the courts. So, there's that there's that concern, about that. But at the end of the day, this is what we have. So let those who feel they have strong evidences come up with it, present it before the courts, and because as it stands now, it's not just about the courts anymore. It's going to be the world is going to be on this. The world is going to be looking at the evidences and all of this. So as much as the judges will try the case, the judges will also be under trial by the international community and other stakeholders. So it's important that they really take this particular issue serious in the interest of justice, peace, and unity.
Well, we will be taking a very short break, and as we do so, we'll be expecting that our viewers will actually contribute constructively to the conversation on the big issue. And by the time we come back, we expect to see their contributions trickling in by the way of comments, and we will actually take them out for Nigerians to see their own views. Don't go offline. We will be back in a moment.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Come back. We are still on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is the 2023 presidential poll in the aftermath. Well, we've actually seen a situation where the major opposition parties, the major contenders, Labour Party, People's Democratic Party, and the New Nigerian People Party have come out to say they are going to court. But there are Nigerian Silas who are asking, what are they going to tell the court? And let me tell you why those Nigerians are thinking like this. They said there were major upsets in this election. At the end of the day, we talk of rigging, and then you see the presidential candidate of the Labour Party beating the APC presidential candidate in Lagos. And then you see a situation where we know very well that when you talk of Lagos, you know how influential Tinubu is in Lagos. But what happened was it's like dividing the votes, and the Labour candidate even defeating the APC candidate, despite being a core APC state, with 9,000 votes. So now most people of the Labour Party are saying that the votes in Lagos would be got up to 900,000 votes. I think that is what one of them, the actor Kenneth Okonkwo, was claiming. That will be got 900,000 votes, but the votes they are saying, and then one will now ask Silas, does it mean that in Lagos, where Tinubu was governor for 8 years, I'm telling you what some other Nigerians are not thinking, that he wouldn't have even gotten a vote? He's even a son of the soil, a typical Yoruba man. They will go and contest election, then all the vote would have gone to one person. Then Tinubu wouldn't have gotten a single vote from there. Yeah. And then look at Katsina. PDP defeated President Buhari in that state, blue-black, where the PDP presidential candidate won the state of the president himself against the president's party. And then you see major upset in certain places. Of course, in Kano, you see Kanu were very much after their own son, Kwankwaso. He won there. And why Tinubu was able to get the vote from Kanu was because the incumbent governor is a typical APC man when he was out to work for his party. And that was how he was able to drag out some votes. So with some of these upsets, major upsets that played out, most Nigerians are wondering how rigging would have taken place. Because they say if they had rigged this election, Obi wouldn't have been claiming that he defeated Tinubu. You see the argument.
Okay, thank you for laying those foundations. One thing you need to look at Lagos is what is the population of voters in Lagos? Lagos had the most populous voter population in Nigeria, more than Kano. What did they return in Kano? The winner in Kano had 900,000 votes. Yeah? What did they get in Lagos? 500. Are you telling me that and Lagos has more voters than Kano? Do you see the drop? Don't you see that it's not even just Ken Tukonko, who's the Labour Party spokesperson, that was saying that Peter won by 900-something thousand votes. PDP itself, the PDP person said by its own situation room report, what they got from unfair, that Labour Party got 987,000 votes. This is not Labour Party saying so. It's a PDP, a Labour Party that should even be angry with Labour for stealing and snatching the voters that voted for PDP. So not even people saying, and Labour people are saying, we didn't win this man by 10,000 votes. We won him by far more. In fact, from what they're saying, the APC got to 170,000 votes, and they've got 900. So if you look at the gap, now if you compare the winning margins in Kano, which has similar population, even less population of voters, and Lagos was highly mobilized because of the politics of Lagos, the presence of the contest between people of Lagos, especially, you know that Peter has a big Igbo population of Lagos, the Christian population of Lagos too. All those big the religion was a factor, especially as Tinubu took a music ticket. Religion became a factor in that election, whether I like it or not. All those big churches and code that were preaching, campaigning directly on that for the Labour Party person, they charged their people to come and vote. So if all this will come, we saw the mobilization of people to come and vote. So if all people came out in a place like Lagos, and you're getting, less than 2 million people, in fact, maybe 1.5 million, it doesn't hold with that. So if we check Lagos population, Lagos voter, and check Kano, we now know that somehow something had happened to the figures in Lagos. And the claim of PDP that Labour got up to 900 is closer to the mark than 500 they gave to Labour. And in other places, I've heard people saying they just sat down allocated some votes to here and there. If you go to Kano, Buhari is not on the ballot, even though the party is APC run. But Buhari is not on the ballot, 1. 2, I think it's a northerner. Do you understand? So if those who normally voted for Buhari transfer their votes to a fellow northerner, it can be understood. And the margins were not so much. The difference in margins were just like maybe 7,000 votes or that. So the margins were very small. So it's not like beating hands down. Then the other upsets here and there, that doesn't confer legitimacy on the process that is flawed. What is it flawed? That the plan for this election that Annex sang, in fact, I think Budemaye say he did a Google search and found out that Annex chairman had promised them that viewers will work for 8 times, publicly speaking, and that the spokesperson for 100 and something times. And on election day, it didn't work. And that was what was supposed to get all the real figures, the raw figures from polling unit level. Because the elections in Nigeria have always been a question of the human element tampering with it from the polling unit to the collection center. And that was what Vivas was supposed to take out of the system, so that tampering will not be done. But we still went back to the old system where for hours or days, human beings were in charge of the figures and they could decide whatever they do with it. And we have seen some figures being cancelled. And so those upsets are there. But it does not confer legitimacy on a system that is so flawed. Do you know that with all the 360 billion or so and all the other money and they can spend, that many centers couldn't even get ink, a fundamental tool, substance for the election. Some people are using Biro. What they spend the money on? So they need to do a proper and other small, even ballot paper. So we are missing ballot, we are having shortage. So before they go and come back, hours, people are on the queue. You see men, women, old people, young people. You saw the girl who had the plate, side stopped, saying he must vote. And after what they get, this kind of a shortage arrangement. So coming to a question, the fact that there are a few steps does not confer the experience on the president. Election process, democracy is a process. And if the process is truncated at the place or tampered with, you need to find out why the tampering happened and setting it out so you can have a good election. So everybody will be happy.
Thank you very much, Silas. Chibuzo, we are running out of time, but quickly let's just look at Silas said. Silas is disposed to those who are insisting that we would have gotten 900 votes, APC 100 and something thousand votes in a state where Tinubu ruled for 8 years. He's a son of the soil. Tinubu never had his kinsmen who would say, no, this is our own, even though, let's look at that. And then before, then look at Katsina where PDP defeated APC hands down. The president's own state, he could not deliver, Buhari could not deliver his state to his party. Look at Nasarawa state, where the national chairman of APC was defeated by another party, SDP. Then we look at some states where at the end of the day, even the governors could not even deliver for their party, like Gombe, where PDP trashed the governing APC hands down. And then you can even speak a little about how Wike was able to achieve his aim of no delivering for Atiku. Wike ended up delivering for the APC presidential candidate, even though the state was actually tinted towards the Labour Party. How can you just wrap up all this so that we'll just...
I think what is all part of the election matrix.
Well, this is where we draw the curtain for today's big issue. And of course, the topic at stake is so broad, we could go on and talk for hours. We wouldn't have exhausted the issues in the aftermath of the presidential election that held on the 25th of February. Well, it's still an unfolding issue. And of course, these are issues that will always be taken as topic as many times as much as possible for we to exhaust. So in that regard, join us same time tomorrow for another edition of The Big Issue. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast.